This podcast is themed around understanding how we can leverage our 5 to 9 hours. So, it shouldn't be a surprise that today we are talking about the biology and chemistry that is going on inside of us during the 5 p.m. to 9 a.m., or at least for most of us. So, I will be sharing about the actual stuff that affects your mood and your energy and how the brain works during these hours. So stick around until the end for the tips. Let's get into the episode. Hello there, and welcome back to the 5 to 9 job. I'm your host Raymond, and in this podcast, we explore how the hours after the 9 to 5, the ones between 5 p.m. to 9 a.m., can be your opportunity to build, grow, and live intentionally. So today we are diving into a topic that is as fascinating as it is practical. What happens in your brain during your 5 to 9 hours? Just think about it for a second. Our brain goes through some small but subtle transitions. Some of them are major transitions after work, but they are mainly chemical shifts, they are energy dips, and then eventually the full sleep mode. And these changes affect everything from how tired you are or how you feel, how focused, how recovered you are, and actually how you perform the next day. And I believe that understanding these changes means you can take advantage of them. So let's begin with the fundamental question. What's happening in your brain after work? And we can actually start with the sciences. So at the end of the day, if your day ends 5 p.m., when your work day ends, your brain is running basically on fumes. It's running on cortisol, that stress hormone that helps you to stay alert. And by this time, it is likely on a decline after spiking through the day, through the different activities that you are part of. Though at the same time, your serotonin levels might be dipping, which could leave you feeling drained and moody. So serotonin, just to catch you guys up, serotonin is also a chemical, and it's a chemical that carries messages between nerve cells in your brain and throughout your body actually. So serotonin plays a key role in the body because it controls functions like your mood, your sleep, digestion, nausea, healing, and a whole lot of functions. But towards the end of the day, these two start to dip. Why are these two dipping? Because your brain is designed to conserve energy after a period of sustained focus or sustained engagement. So just think about it this way. At the end of the day or during the day, when you are using your phone and it goes into red, whatever that percentage is, it will activate a mode called power saving mode. So that is basically what your brain is doing during that time when you are exhausted and everything. The cortisol levels are going down, and then the serotonin is also going down. So you start to feel a bit sluggish, moody, and just less energetic. And then as the evening progresses, your brain shifts gears. Melatonin, that hormone that regulates sleep, starts to rise. So it is basically rising because it is preparing you for sleep, preparing you for rest. Melatonin basically regulates the night and day cycle, the sleep and wake cycle. So you basically already have the cortisol, you have the serotonin, you have melatonin, and then thirdly comes in the dopamine, the reward chemical. And we need to be careful here because we all know how negatively dopamine is portrayed. Although it is a helpful chemical, it is actually an essential chemical in the human body. But during this time, it can also spike. And if you are doing something enjoyable, that might actually be healthy. It could be something like spending time with loved ones or engaging in a hobby. It will spike. And vice versa, if you're obviously doing something unhealthy like social, TV, light, and the sorts, it will also spike. meaning in a way you start to crave more of what you are doing, and it affects in turn your sleep cycle. So when the sleep mode for whatever time you sleep comes, so when that time to sleep comes, of which sleep is just as complicated as being awake because it has cycles of sleep. So during deep sleep, this is where your brain is going into, I could simplify it as maintenance mode. So it is clearing out toxins, it's consolidating memories, just adding them to your memory bank. It also adds new skills, information, and whatever you have gathered during the day. That is the time that it is consolidated into your long-term memory. So literally the brain is busy because at the same time, your brain is also releasing growth hormones that help with recovery and repair. So you actually realize that when you sleep less or when you skip good sleep, you're not just losing rest, you are missing out on one of the most productive states of your mind. And my brother compared it to vampire healing, although that's a bit much, but you could compare it to that. This is the time that your body is recovering, trying to build back your health. Anyway, at the end of it all, these changes and transitions can have a big impact on how you feel and what you can accomplish during the 9 to 5 hours. Let me give you some scenarios. When you are tired, this is when you are most likely to sit on the couch, scroll endlessly on your phone, procrastinate, things like that. Just because your brain is in power saving mode and is seeking some dopamine. But with the right mindset and awareness, you can still make these hours count, You realize that this is happening, you go for a walk, you stop scrolling, things like that. Another scenario, let me say if you are sitting down at the end of the day, you will usually find yourself thinking about your day and planning. And it's actually good for you because during this reflective time is when you can fit in activities like journaling and brainstorming. Hence, the creativity, the ideas you get in bed, you get in the evening, the things you think you should do tomorrow, or you say to yourself, you know what, I think I can achieve X. It usually comes during that time if you have noticed it. And that is all just because the brain is on this journey. So here's a big question. How do we take advantage of these natural transitions to maximize the growth? Tip 1 is to actually rest your brain and recharge. Use more of your physical body. So instead of sitting on the couch and killing every system, go for a 10-minute walk or do light stretching. Physical movement can boost serotonin levels, the energy levels, that chemical that helps to transmit and control your mood. It can keep that from dipping, which is better for you because it ensures that you have a better mood going into the night. So instead of getting home and you sit down to watch TV or something, there you are killing both the brain and the physical part of your body. Instead, what you could do is you let the brain rest and recharge, and you do it through moving your body. You move your blood and do some exercise. 2 is take a few minutes to do a brain dump. So put your thoughts about your day in words. It could be what you have done or you want to do. Just write them down to clear your minds so that you can leave the work behind and just focus on resting. 3 is to use that small creative window to work on a side project that you are very passionate about, or reading a book or journaling about your goals. Because that creative window for me has done a lot for me. It's actually the reason why I have this podcast. 4 is to limit distractions. Just outright limit distractions like social media. You have had everyone tell you shouldn't have your phone in bed, you shouldn't. Just do whatever they tell you. Do everything you have had. Set a timer for focus time, for relax time. Just try as much as possible. Use all the tips, but limit the distractions you have during this time. And then 5 is to develop a bedtime routine. Go to bed at the same time every day. Dim the lights, avoid screens, and Wind down with calming activities like reading, meaningful conversations, reflecting, journaling. Those are the kind of activities that you should wind down your day with, not with social. Okay, and then another thing here is to get about 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. I don't actually follow this because I have so many excuses. I won't get into it, but it is recommended to sleep for at least 7 to 9 hours, and not just sleep, but have quality sleep. And then finally, when you wake up, be awake. Just like you have a routine for going to bed, have one for getting up. Build your circadian routine and rhythm so that your body doesn't get mixed signals and knows the limits of work and the limits of rest. So just to go through them once again, tip 1 is to actually rest and recharge. Tip 2, take a few minutes to do a brain dump, so that is through journaling. Tip 3 is to use that creative window that you have. Do not let that go to waste. Tip 4 is to limit distractions. And then tip 5 is to develop a bedtime routine, wake up routine, and sleep, and aim to get quality sleep. Other than that, I do have a disclaimer. I'm not a licensed neurologist or doctor, and whatever I have said in this podcast should not be considered professional advice. It is basically what I have seen works for me and what I have read and try to incorporate into my routine. So if you really want to go ahead and understand yourself better, I would actually recommend that you meet a professional or set up an appointment with someone, because there is a lot more going on in your brain than you may think. But the challenge here is to be intentional and use the best parts to grow faster, and then solve for the bad parts. Thank you for listening to this episode. If it sparked something in you, share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. That's it from me for today. I'll see you back here next Friday. But until then, keep growing, keep building, and keep owning your 5 to 9 life. I remain Raymond. See you next time.